Pedals have to be one of the most popular ways to make cool guitar noises. They're also very collectible, and over the years, I've accumulated a lot of pedals. Something that I've been trying to focus on over the last couple of years is to have functional pedal boards around the house and the studio that I can have my pedals on, so that when I go, hey, it would be awesome to play with my old Boss flanger, that I can just grab the board that has that on it rather than go, now, where did I leave my old Boss flanger, and what type of power does it need, and do I have the patch cables? Just being able to grab a board, plug it in, power it up, and get onto the glorious business of making guitar noises. So what I want to do today is just walk you through the process of putting together a brand new board for the studio here. Now, for this board in particular, I want something a little more spacious. I've got a couple of Nuex and Temple audio boards, which are great because they're nice and compact. I do want to be able to fit more pedals on here and have plenty of power so that everything can be added as I see fit. Let's dive in. Here's the board that I've gone with. It is a Palmer Pedal Bay 60. What's cool about it is this slat is actually the power supply. So they call this the power bar, and you kind of power it with a laptop style supply that plugs in here, and it's going to redistribute everything with these DC outputs. One cool thing here is that these outputs are selectable for 9, 12, or 18 volt operation. Can be very handy for some of the past effects pedals like the Echo 600 or the Elastic Mattress. The main thing that I wanted to do on here was pull the Velcro off that the board ships with. So kind of wiped it down with some shellite or naphtha, as you would call it in the United States, just to degrease the board. And I'm going to be putting a bunch of this on. So basically the Scotch version of Dual Lock, which I think I have right here. Excuse my squeaky chair. So this stuff, like if you're building a board for anything, you know, this is just better than Velcro in every single way. While I'm not going to be using this as a touring board and I don't need it to be super, super robust, I still don't want my pedals moving around here when I move the board around in the studio, which I'm going to do quite a bit. And I'm going to be pulling pedals on and off it. The thing that I really want to use this for is just to have a bunch of fun with pedals that come through the studio, but I'll also be using this as the primary thing that I mount a pedal on when I do a pedal demo. So I'm able to power it discreetly with this. I'm able to have it sit on the board. So let's get the Scotch version of Dual Lock. What do they even call this? They have some like extreme or something like that. Anyway, it's this stuff. I bought it from Bunnings. So what I've done is I have divided this into a bunch of similarly spaced pieces. I did think about just running an entire piece of Dual Lock all the way across the length, but I think what I'm going to do is just have a couple of little gaps in here because I don't need to cram this with pedals. I do like a bit of space between the pedals on there, which means that I'll just have some leftovers, as you can see over here, to attach to more pedals as more pedals come in. So just trying to be, economic with the way I'm using this, even though it is great. And, if I could order 20, 50 meters of this in bulk, I probably would and just cover the whole board. But I think I'll be good just using these smaller pieces. These three main ones I've mostly covered with the Dual Lock, and then this is a bit more intermittent across here. I figured out that the amount that I bought would have been enough to just run across all four of them with no gaps, but I saved all of that Dual Lock, which I can use for other pedals, which I'm pretty happy about. So along the bottom rung, this is mostly going to be smaller analog pedals to run in front of an amplifier, like a Phase 90. So I'll probably have slightly more of those, whereas across the top, I'll be going for digital pedals or larger pedals. I've just spent this whole time justifying the strange decision that I made to save this much Dual Lock, but this stuff, it's more expensive than Velcro. It's way better than Velcro, but a little does go a long way. Let's chuck some pedals on this now. I put a bunch of pedals on this to basically test out the carrying capacity of this board. This bottom rung is going to be all pre-gain or pre-amplifiers. So Script Phase 90 that has had a few Analog Man mods. I believe it's got the buffer mod on there. There's a power supply jack and an LED on there, which is very handy. Past Effects Elastic Mattress. This sounds amazing for the Andy Summers, Alex Lifeson thing. Past Effects TDY, this is just a great thick sounding overdrive. It's like a solid state tube driver. Really, really good if you want to do the Gilmore thing. Past Effects Echo 600, basically a deluxe Memory Man, but way cooler because it's got sliders on it and a short and long switch, so you can use it for some chorus and flanger sounds. Then the Master Effects EQ from Hell Pro. This is basically a Furman 3-band rack parametric EQ in a pedal. If I run this all into a slightly crunchy amp, I'm really happy with the way they all sound. They're just some of my favorite effects pedals that I've come across in my years of tone chasing and especially doing YouTube over the last couple of years. I think I've owned a Phase 90 on 3 or 4 separate occasions now. It's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns has that bear that he keeps trying to get back from Maggie Simpson. And, you know, there's the running joke on there like, oh, I'll never let you go this time. It's kind of me in Phase 90s. They're just such a great sounding pedal. I really, really should just keep this one and never flip it. That's why I'm going to place it on this board at the start with the rate or the speed control at like 11 o'clock because it just does that thing. Elastic Mattress is so lush. The TDY, I feel like this could be a floating position. You know, if I was demoing an amp where it really needed some tightening up, like say a dual rectifier, I might swap that in for another pedal, even just a Tube Screamer or SD1. But I do like that big thickening effect you can get out of it. The Echo 600 is just so fun. You know, the rhythmic style delays with modulation on there are beautiful, but you can also flick the switch on here and basically get a chorus or a flanger out of it. Then along the top, I'm essentially treating this like a little 80s style rack. I've got the Rockman X100 pedal, stereo chorus compression, that clean 2 mode. Going into the Keeley Halo. Now this has a mode based on the Rockman stereo echo. So I've got that set up. And then the Empress reverb I have on the Hall setting, the green Hall, which to my ears is more of an old school 80s style reverb on there. So we can hear this without the chorus, then with it, then with the Rockman style echo, then with the Hall reverb from the Empress. The Empress Reverb has heaps of fun sounds in it as well, like the ambient sounds. I mean, this is just kind of instant vibe if you crank up the decay on here, even with this clean sound, and bring the mix up. I love the way this sounds with the sort of halo setting from the Halo. Funny that, getting the Halo sound out of the Halo. Knowing that that power supply can service all of these without any noise is really handy as well. I think basically I'm going to leave the Phase 90 on at the start here and the EQ from Hell at the end. This is such a great sounding preamp boost and sweetener. Can really transform your guitar sound or subtly enhance it. Leave those on. I can swap a bunch of pedals that I like in here as I see fit. And then the top row is just for fun stuff. You know, if I wanted to run, say, the Empress Reverb with the Echo system and do a bunch of looping on there, I could do that. I could shoot out delay pedals on that. I could add other modulation of pedals. Anything that's going to be post gain, I would throw on there. I did mention that I had the end game on there. I've got another board with the Friedman IRJ that I think I'm going to put the end game on there because the IRJ doesn't have XLR outs. And I want to run that essentially as, again, a virtual little, say, modeler replacement board and do a concept video about it and just have that accessible as well. Super handy little board. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you on the next one.